श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। क्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं गुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधे सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं भङ्गं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधे वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। वार्ताय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणे स्वयं व्यासेन कृतितां पुराणमुनिनां मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्बा त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवेद्वेषिणीम्। नारायणपरो व्यक्ता दण्डमव्यक्तसम्भवं मण्डस्यान्तस्तु मे लोका सप्तद्वीपास्मीदिनीम् अवतीर्णश्च कालिट्यां केदारेन्दरतश्च चतुष्पीठप्रतिष्ठादाय यदाच्चङ्करो गुरुः शङ्कारूपेण मच्चित्तं पङ्कीकृतमबूद्ध्य किङ्करीयसामाय शङ्कराचार्यमाश्रये. So in the Sankhya Yoga, we were looking at 20th Shloka previously, where Bhagavan was explaining to Arjuna that this Atma is Avinashi, it is Nitya, it is Shashvata, it is Purana, it is everlasting, it is does not have birth or death, right? Na jayate namriyate va kadachinnayam bhutva bhavita vanas bhuyah ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So we're looking at that shloka, and again, this shloka, again, it's explaining that, having said that this Atma is changelessness, Bhagavan sums up this with what has been declared so far in the shlokas, 19th and 20th shlokas. Whatever he has said, he summarizes that in the next shloka, in the 21 first shloka. Veda vinashinam nityam ya yenamaja veyam katham sapurusha partha kam ghāteti hantikam. So second half of this shloka, katham sapurusha partha, this is kind of a questioning, but it is not actually questioning. It is a statement, making a statement here. We will come to the details in a second. So the literal meaning, Vyakyartha, word by word, Vyakya, so overall sentence meaning is, O Partha, the one who knows this Atma as indestructible, this one as indestructible, eternal, birthless, and decaying, how can whom does that person kill, or how can he cause to be killed? So the second half, as I said, how and whom is a kind of questioning, but it is actually making a statement. So Veda means knows, Avinashinam means imperishable, Nityam is eternal, Yah Yenam means who, this, Ajam means unborn, Avayam immutable, Katham is how, Saha means that, Purushaha person, Partha is Arjuna, Partha, Kam means whom, Gatayati means to be killed, causes to be killed, Hanti kills, Kam means whom. So the one who knows this Atma as indestructible, etc. So Shankaracharya writes a very lengthy commentary on this, and he, after explaining it in straight sentences, he goes into kind of explaining, clarifying some of the questions that might arise in the listener's mind. Okay, so we will go and look at those as well today. So the one who knows this one as this Atma as indestructible, etc., he who knows this one, Enam, this Atma, possessing of characteristics as stated in the previous verses, 19th, 20th and other previous verses. As what did we say in those things? As avinashinam, right? Indestructible, devoid of final changes of change of state. It is nityam, eternal. It is devoid of transformation. Ajam, it is birthless. It is said as avayam, undecaying, and so it is described as all those things, possessing of all these characteristics, right? And how, that is, in what way, and come means whom, does that man of realization, the person who himself an authority, that is above all the injunctions and prohibitions, kill or undertake the act of killing, or how ghatayati, does he cause others to be killed? How does he instigate become a killer? How does he become a killer? So the one who is indestructible, who is nityam, avayam, avinashi, ajam, that one, how can that one become a cause of the killing something or getting killed? So that's the some explanation. Again, the intention here, what is the intention is to deny both acts. That is, in no way does he kill anyone or he causes anything to be killed. Okay, he in sense here the atma that's being talked as here. So because the interrogative sense katam sapurusha, or whom does he kill, etc., those things is absurd. Shankaracharya calls that as absurd here, because it is not interrogative sense. It is, the intention is to deny both types. So it is does not get involved in action of killing, or it itself does not get killed. Since the implications of the reason, that is the immutability of this atma, is common with regards to all the actions, because the uh, the atma itself, it common, all these actions are very common to the atma. Therefore, the negation of all kinds of action in the case of man of realization, the one who has this atma jnana, does not have any actions. He does not have any karmas to do. That is what Bhagavan conveys in this context here. So again, the reason for denial of killing, etc., is the changelessness of the Atma, right? So because Atma is changelessness, it does not undergo any changes. And that's why it holds good with regard to all the actions of a man of realization. Again, but the denial of act of killing just here given as an example. So it is not just killing and not getting killed and things like that. What Shankaracharya says here is Atma does not get involved with any karmas. Okay, so not just killing. Killing is given here as an example in this shloka. So the Atma itself does not get involved in any action that a body does. So to that, to negate that, to make that clear, this is what Bhagavan is saying here, using killing as an example. Now, the objection may be raised to that statement, saying that Atma does not get involved in any action, and it is the killing here is used as an example. So to that, by an objection may be raised, saying that by noticing what special reason for the impossibility of actions in case of a man of realization, the one who has Atma Jnana, does the Bhagavan deny all actions, saying how can that person khatam sapurusha, etc., right? So the person who has that Atma Jnana, so the question here, or the objection here is, how is Bhagavan saying that the one who is having Atma Jnana does not get involved in any action? For him, the action is impossibility. Getting involved in karma is impossibility. How is Bhagavan saying that? So that's a objection here. what Shankaracharya responds to such objection is he says that we already discussed, already looked at the immutability of the Atma. So that's already been discussed in detail as the reason, and that is why, because Atma is immutable, it does not undergo any changes, it does not get involved in anything. It's impossible. All the getting involved in the actions is impossible. So that's why it is like that. Then the objection might come saying that is it not that a specific ground because the person who is having that realization, the Purusha, the man that's being talked about here, who is having that realization, is different from the immutable Atma itself. Okay, so it could be looked at like that. So it may be argued that the action does not become impossible for the one who has who is unchanging, right? So the objection like that may be raised. So then the answer to that would be because the man of knowledge or the enlightened person is the one with Atma, it is not possible, right? So Shankaracharya says such an separation is not possible. When a man who is has that enlightenment, the separation is not possible between him and the Atma because he sees himself as Atma. He does not see himself as a body. So that enlightenment or vidvatta, as called here, does not belong to the body and the senses. Okay, that's why, as the last alternative, the knower is the immutable and the Atma, which is not part of this body. So they do not think that this body is the Atma, they think themselves as the Atma. So they see that complete differentiation. That's why action being impossible for that person who has the knowledge, the denial is here said that how can that person kill or get involved in killing and things like that. So that's why it is reasonable. Again, as an account of lack of knowledge of distinction between the Atma and the modifications of the Buddhi, the intellect. So, because of the lack of knowledge of Atma, between the distinction between the Atma and the modifications that Buddhi goes through, the Atma, even though it is immutable, is imagined through ignorance as something else. Okay, it looks like for the people, it looks like Atma is the one what is doing. Okay, so this is what it's called as this Buddhi intellectual states or Buddhi vrittis is unreal by nature. So what Shankaracharya says here is that even though Atma does not get involved in any action because of avidya through ignorance and modifications of the buddhi intellect and the lack of knowledge to identify the distinction between body and atma, we see atma as the one perceived as the one who is doing those kind of things, and that's why it looks like that. So then the from again the statement that the action is impossible for a man of realization, the man who has realized, who has that atma realization, for that person the action is impossible. It is from that statement it is understood that the conclusion of Bhagavan is that action enjoined by the scriptures are prescribed for the unenlightened. So if the enlightened person does not get involved in action, karma yoga, karmas, then karma is prescribed for those who are unenlightened, those who are having this avidya, ignorance, who does not differentiate between atma, who does not have that uh, knowledge. For them, it is the karma. Right? So he says that. So the actions enjoined by the scriptures or the Shāstras are prescribed for the unenlightened. So now the objection is there could be another objection here. So is it not enlightenment or the knowledge is it not also enjoined with the ignorant? Because now we said that for those who have jnana, atma jnana, for them, karma is not there. Okay. And karma is for the ignorance. So now the question is, knowledge is also, should it not that the knowledge also should be there for the ignorant? Because the injunctions or the statements, vidhis of jnana, acquiring that jnana, is to one who has already achieved realization is useless, right? So if one has already have that enlightenment, that knowledge, for them, it is useless. The karmas and everything becomes useless. It is like grinding the something that's already ground, right? So that being so, the distinction of rights and duties, the karmas, are enjoined for the enlightened and not for the enlightened one. It does not stand to reason. So that's the objections, right? So it does not make sense. Now, Shankaracharya says that's not the case. The distinction we can explain between the existence and non-existence of a thing to be performed in two cases separately. Okay, so he says that there exists the distinction can be explained of the between the existence and non-existence of the things to be performed in two cases separately. That is one with jnana uh, and one without one with ignorance, avidya. And again, to explain this, they remind something that for the unenlightened man to do on understanding the meaning of the injections regarding the agnihotras and things like that, the karmas he does. He thinks that the karmas he's doing, whether the agnihotra or any other rituals, religious rituals he's doing, the sacrifices, etc., they are to be performed, and that may that and that the many necessary accessories that he need to procure for that, he should procure this, he should acquire those things. And he also, the person doing those karmas, he thinks that I am the agent, this is my duty. Okay, he thinks that karta ham mama kartavyam. So these are my duties. I should do this agnihotra, I should do this sacrifice, I should do this pujas, and I should acquire these things, flowers, for example, to this deity I'm going to worship, or I should acquire ghee for this sacrifice, whatever. He thinks that I am the agent, I am the one, this is my duty to do. Okay, because that's how he does. But on the contrary, nothing is there remains to be performed subsequent to realization of the truth of the person, right? So if one has realized, for that person, there is nothing to be performed like that, because he thinks that this Atma is never, this one is born, na jayate, na mriyate, like that. So, right? So he thinks that this one is never born. So that's why this Atma is always there. So he does not have to perform any of those things. So he knows the real nature of that Atma. And but again, apart from the rise of knowledge regarding the unity of the Atma and his non-agency, etc., in the form of I am not the agent, I am not the enjoyer, etc., no other idea comes into that mind of those person who has this Atma Jnana. And that's why we can distinction between the two people, one who is having Atma Jnana, who always thinks that this Atma is na jayate, na mriyate, it does not die, it is avinashi, it is nitya, it is all those things. He thinks like that. Okay. And he thinks that I am not the agent, I am not doing it, I am not enjoying anything. I am not na ham karta, na ham bhokta. He thinks that I am not the agent. But on the other hand, the one who is unenlightened, that person does the karmas thinking that I am the agent. This is my duty. I have to do this. I have to procure this. I have to do this puja. I have to do that. All those things, he thinks I am doing it. Okay. So that's the difference. Again, anyone who knows himself as I am the agent, there will necessarily comes to an idea that this is my duty. Right? If someone is saying I am doing this, that means they think that this is my duty. Again, in relation to that, he becomes eligible for the duties, that is the karma. He becomes eligible for the karma. And in this way, duties are enjoined for him. So the person who thinks I am the agent and this is my duty, that person, for that person, duties are enjoined. Karma is enjoined for him. And according to that text, again in the 19th shloka, Bhagavan says that both of them do not know, right? He says, Ubhoto na vijanita. So he says that when in the 19th shloka he says that both of them do not know, he is talking about that unenlightened man, right? Who does not know this Atma. But on the other hand, in the 20th shloka, when he says that how can this be killed, become this Atma, be part of the killer or getting killed, he's talking about the enlightened person. He's talking about the realized man. He's talking about the one who thinks that this Atma, who knows that this Atma is never born, is never died, is Avinashi, it is indestructible, is those kind of things. Then again, when we look at so the karma yoga, that's why karma duties are enjoined for the unenlightened person. Now, how can that, again the text katam sa purusha etc., where he says that how can that person etc., that concerns the enlightened person, as I just said, because the negation of action in this text, because of that action is negated in this text, it relates to the realized person. That's why the enlightened person or the person of knowledge, distinguished, is distinguished, just like I said now, who has realized that immutable Atma, and the seeker of moksha, the one who seeks moksha, are qualified only for the renunciation of all rights and duties. Okay, so tasmat visheshitasya avikriyatmadarshinaha vidusha mumukshoscha sarvakarma sannyase eva adhikara. So the enlightened person who has realized the Atma and the one who seeks moksha, for that person, they are the ones who is qualified for renunciation of karma sannyasa. They are qualified for this renunciation of all the karmas. Again, here, not just the one who has realized Atma, Shankaracharya also adds the one who is seeker of the moksha, okay, one who seeks moksha, okay, mumukshoscha. So he adds also the one who is looking for the moksha, who is eager for that moksha. But again, he is the one who does not yet possess that Atma Jnana. He does not yet possess that Atma Jnana, and but has no doubt to perform the acts enjoined in him. So again, these acts are not prejudicial to his devotion to the knowledge. So he is towards that Atma Jnana, and he is seeking that moksha. And for he also is qualified for renunciation of the duties. Therefore, Bhagavan Narayana, making a distinction between the enlightened man of knowledge, that is the Sankhyas, is making them, the one who is having Atmajnana or Sankhyas, and the unenlightened man of karmas. Okay, so he makes a distinction between these two. The one who is Sankhyas, who has the Atma Jnana, and the unenlightened man of rights and duties, the following the karmas, makes them take up two different kind of adherences in the uh, third uh, chapter. He makes them takes two different types of nishtas, adherences. Okay, so where he says that uh, uh, so he in that he says Sankhyan Vidisha Avidushascha Karminha Pravibhascha Dve Nishte Grahayati. So Bhagavan makes here that Sankhya and Avidushcha. So the unenlightened, he makes them Sankhya, he makes them take the he makes the difference between them and the one who is taking karma, because he makes that distinction in the third chapter, in the third shloka, where he says, Jnana yogena sankhyanam, karma yogena yoginam. And in that shloka, he says that through the yoga of knowledge of for the men of realization, and through the yoga of action for the yogis. So he talks about two different distinctions. Okay, so he makes that clear distinction between the one who has Atma Jnana, called Sankhyas, and the unenlightened who has the karma yogena. So karma yogena yoginam, he says jnana yogena sankhyanam, karma yogena yoginam. So he makes that clear distinction between those two. Similarly, Shankaracharya here also quotes Vyasa in the Mahabharata Shanti Parva. Vyasa tells his son Shuka that uh, now there are two paths which Vedas are based. They are thought of as the dharma characterized by engagement in duties, and that by renunciation of them. So there are two paths. Vyasa tells to his son Shuka, Dvavimat Vatha Panthano. So he says that in the Shanti Parva, in the Mahabharata Shanti Parva, so that there are two paths. One is characterized by engagement in duties, another one is renunciation of those duties. Again, you need to remember here, renunciation of duty is only for those who have realized the Atma or the seeker of moksha, the one who is seeking moksha and who is in the path of Atma Jnana, right? And not for everybody. So, and also, Shankaracharya quotes here the Taittiriya Aranyaka here quotes here say kriya pataschaiva purastat pascham sannyasaschet. So the path of rights and duties indeed is earlier, and renunciation comes after that. So that's again, so he quotes the Vedic text as well, saying that there are two clear there is a clear distinction between the path of Sankhyas and the path of the unenlightened man. Sankhyas are, they do not get attached to any karmas, but on the other hand, unenlightened man is the karmas are for him, rights and duties are assigned for him. So he explains that, and he has as a in addition to what Krishna saying, Bhagavan saying in these shlokas, Shankaracharya also quotes what's in the Mahabharata Shanti Parva and also in the Vedas to uh, prove the same point. He quotes those things. Again, Bhagavan will again and again show this very division. Okay, in this Bhagavad Gita, we will come across this again and again in many places where Bhagavan shows that the Atmajnana, the one having Atmajnana and the unenlightened are two different things. Because in, for example, in third chapter, 27, 28 shlokas, where he talks about the unenlightened man who is deluded by egoism thinks that I am the doer. But the one who is knower of the facts, that is about the varieties of the gunas and things, thinks I do not act. Ahankara vimudatma kartahamiti manyate. So, like that in the shlokas, we will come when we go to third chapter. So, Bhagavan again and again says that these two divisions are there. And also, there is the text where this embodied man of self-control, having given up all the actions mentally, continues happily in the town of nine gates. Sarvakarmani manasa sanyasyaste, and so on. So in the 5th chapter, 13th shloka, and others, Bhagavan again says that this person who having self-control continues to live in this body of 9 gates, but given up all the actions mentally. He gives up all the actions mentally and lives in that. So the clear, there is a clear statement here from Bhagavan to Arjuna that karma is for the unenlightened. And Bhagavad Pada here, Shankaracharya, justifies that and confirms that again and again using the various means, not just Bhagavad Gita. And even in Bhagavad Gita as well, he quotes the message that's given in 3rd chapter, 5th chapter, and also he quotes what's said in the Mahabharata and also in the Vedas. So now looking at the statement saying that where 5th chapter where it says Sarvakarmani Manasa Samnyasyaste and so on, right? So where the man of self-control, having given up all the actions mentally, he continues to live in this body, right? So when we look at that shloka, for example, here somebody could raise an objection saying that some nitpickers or pedants, they might say that in no person there arises an idea saying that I am the changeless, actionless Atma. Okay, we are not going to, let's think about it. After this session is over, we are not going to walk around and saying that I am the changeless Atma. I am not this body, right? We are not going to say that. So the objection that's why might come saying that nobody is going to say that. Nobody will come to an idea saying that I am the one devoid of all kind of changes. Okay, at birth and so on. I'm not going to go through any of those. I am the Atma. Again, so that's why on the idea, these ideas do not come, and on the occurrences of which again, those ideas alone can renunciation of all actions can come, right? So we are saying that the person who has that Atma Jnana, who thinks that I am the changeless, I am this Atma, I'm not this body, but the nitpickers, the pedants, what Shankaracharya says here, is they could argue that action, such a thought will never come. Right? So to such an objection, so again, this is a bit complicated because Shankaracharya himself in his Bhashya, he thinks, he raises the question on behalf of all of us, right? So if someone, let's assume that someone telling us that Atma is Avinashi, it's immutable, it's Nityam and all those things, and the body is nothing, we might think when listening, okay, we might think that I am Avinashi, okay, I'm the Atma. But then the next minute, we start thinking about us as the body. I'm the doer, right? I am the doer. I'm the enjoyer. I'm the one doing all those things. I'm not Atma. So that's why Shankaracharya here says that some of the people might say that that idea, buddhi, that knowledge, saying that I am the Atma, I am the changeless, I do not undergo any changes, this birth, death, all these things do not apply to me, that such a thing will not come. Because if you are saying only after that one can renounce their actions, karmas, it's unlikely such a thing will come. So to such a objection, Shankaracharya says that this is not correct because it will lead to the needlessness of this scriptures, okay, and instructions like najayate namriyate and things like that, where Bhagavan himself has said that the Atma does not born and does not get died and things like that. So, and also Shankaracharya questions such an objection, saying that if on the authority of the scripture, Shastras, if you are believing that dharma, adharma, and jnana, all these things get associated with successive bodies. Okay, so if because of dharma, dharma, and things like that, bodies and birth and all these things get attached, you believe that based on the scriptures. Why you don't believe based on the same scriptures which says that na jayate na mriyate and things like that, where atma is not born and things like that? Why you're not believing the same scripture which says that the person of knowledge, the person who is having this atma jnana, same scripture says that this is unchangeability and non-agentship, oneness, etc. All these things of this Atma is said in the same scripture. So why you are saying that dharma, adharma, jnana, all these things exist, bhakti and all this kind of karma and all these things exist because the Shastra say, but you don't agree with the other part of the scripture where it says that Atma is unchangeable, it is non-agentship, it oneness, it is all those things. Why you don't believe that? So he says that if some people are saying that no one will come and say this is I'm Atma, because I don't think that's going to ever happen. You have to say that if you believe that Shastras, whatever that dharma and everything it's talking about, then this is also said in the same Shastras. Okay, same scriptures talk about this Atma as unchangeable. It is eternal. It is non-agent. It is oneness. It all these things, that qualities, and it is also qualityless, right? So nirguna. So when it is like that, how can you say that I don't believe in these things? Uh, then the objection might come if it is to be said that this is due to Atma being beyond the scope of any means of knowledge, right? So if someone might say that Atma might be beyond the scope of any knowledge, then it is not true. Shankaracharya says it is not true because Shruti says that it is to be realized through the mind alone, following the instruction from the teacher, right? So that's he quotes the Brihadanaka Upanishad, where he says that manasaivanudrashtam, drashtavyam, right? So it's through the mind alone, it is realized. So that Atma is realized through mind alone. The mind that is purified by the instructions of the Shastras and the teacher, control of the body, organs, etc., becomes instrument for realizing the Atma. Shastracharya Shastracharya Upadesha Shamadhamadi Sanskritam Mana Atma Darshane Karanam. So Shankaracharya says that the mind, when it is purified by the instruction of the Shastras and the Guru, okay, so again, Guru Mul, came through gurus and control of the body, organs, etc. That becomes the instrument for realizing that. So then, this whatever is said in the Brihadanaka Upanishad, Manasaivanu Drishtavyam. So it is to be realized through mind alone. It is possible. Again, since there exists this anumana, this inference, and scriptures for Atma's realization, it is purely boasting to say that Atma Jnana does not exist, does not arise. So Shankaracharya says that if somebody is questioning that Atma Jnana does not arise, it is simply somebody making a bold statement without any proof. But it will definitely arise in the mind of the person who is purified by the instructions of the Shastras and through gurus, that has learned through gurus and having control over the body and organs and things like that, that person will definitely realize. We will continue from there. Next time, again, this shloka will continue a bit longer. So we will continue one more page of commentary next time.